What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Brunson, and you're watching the Modern Day Matchmaker. Today's episode, ladies, is just for you. I've got the answer to why he didn't call you back after the first date. How many times have you been on what you thought was the perfect date? You get home, you still have the butterflies in your stomach, you pick up the phone, you call your girlfriends to tell them all about the guy, and then the next day, you wait by the phone. No call, no text, no email, no Facebook message, no Twitter DM, nothing. Why didn't he call you back? Well, my friends, I think I might have the answer. And actually, a friend of mine has already come up with the answer. See, her name is Rachel Greenwald, and she is a dating coach, and she's also a best-selling author. She spent 10 years asking man after man after man, why did you not call these women back after the first date? She wrote a great book. It's called Why He Didn't Call You Back. And in this book, she's basically interviewed 1,000 guys, and she's asked them why you don't call ladies back. Now, because of the success of this book, she speaks at different conferences all around the country. And recently, I had an opportunity to go out and listen to her at one of these conferences. Now, this was an interesting conference. You see, it was a conference that consisted of strictly top dating coaches and matchmakers. So these were folks from all around the world. And she began her presentation by saying, tell me, why do you think men don't call women back after the first date? And all the experts started yelling out different answers, and no one could guess what the research said was the right answer. So are you ready for the answer and why men don't call women back?
And that's right, I'm the one that's tattooed on his arm. I'm bossy, I'm the one y'all love to hate. I'm the chick that's raised.
And the answer is the boss lady syndrome. That's right, the bossy lady syndrome. Now, this can also be considered as the dominant woman, okay? The dominant woman. But remember, this is all relative. So ladies, you may look at your characteristics and you may say, well, hold on. I am confident. I'm persuasive. I'm the modern day woman. But fellas may look at that and they may look at that as, well, hold on. She's argumentative. She's controlling. She's not nurturing. She's not feminine. And it's not that fellas don't want a strong woman, because let me tell you, ladies, fellas like accomplished women. But when you only have 2 hours or 1 hour in that date, the man is constantly thinking and he's calculating. He's looking at every comment, every trait, and he's trying to figure out, should he screen you out or should he screen you in, right? Should he screen you out or in? That's what he's calculating. So ladies, it's important to realize, are you bossy, right? And here's some questions that you can think through to determine if you are perhaps bossy. Now think back over the last year. Have you been on a date where you went directly from work to the date, you didn't go home to change? Did you do that? Think about being out on a date and the man described you as perhaps independent or you are challenging. Perhaps you were out on a date and you got into a lot of discussion, maybe it's about politics, maybe it's about sports, and at the end of the night, you said to yourself, you know what, I won every single one of those debates. Or maybe you're watching this right now and you're saying to yourself, well, you know, it would be cool to have a boyfriend, but actually, I don't need a man. Ladies, if you answered yes to any of the aforementioned, you might be considered bossy. Now, I know what you're saying. Don't start with the comments and the hate email yet. Just because you're bossy doesn't mean I'm saying that he'll never call you back. But what I am saying is that there's no man and no woman who's perfect. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Let me say that there's no man and most women are not perfect, right? So we all have our own idiosyncrasies, our own crazy tendencies, but let the man figure that out over the course of several dates. That shouldn't be the purpose of date number one. If you're out on date number one and you like the man, the whole purpose should be to get to date number two. You want him to ask you to date number two. right? So don't give him the long resume of questions. So if you like the man and you perhaps are a bossy lady, here's some tips that I can give you to help balance out that bossy. Tip number 1 is try doing anti-bossy things. Anti-bossy things. Now, what do I mean by this is, let's say you're the power broker, you have the power suit on that you wear all the time and the power briefcase. Try perhaps cooking him dinner. Put the apron on, right? Very ladylike thing to do, and do this on the second or third date, right? Do something contrary to what the bossy lady would be perceived as doing. Perhaps in your conversation, instead of it being competitive or challenging, try being gracious. Try being a bit flirtatious, okay? Number two, and this is very, very important, is women, bring your feminine A game. Bring your feminine A game. There's nothing more powerful than a feminine woman. Men love femininity. So take the jeans off, put the sexy dress on, and that's what you wear to the date, the sexy dress. Perhaps in your conversation with him, take the iPhone off the table. Don't sit there and send the text messages, especially if it's about business. Take your iPhone, take the BlackBerry, put it in your purse, lock it up. Number 3, and this is very important, is bossy women, you may want to think about selecting a different man. And here's what I mean by this. So I'm a matchmaker, and typically the clientele that I deal with are very successful, at least should I say professionally, they're very successful. And typically the women that I work with are bossy ladies. And when I sit down and I ask them, okay, well, what do you want in a man? They'll say, well, I want a hard charger, I want a type A personality. I want essentially a bossy man. And let me tell you right now, a bossy woman and a bossy man, they don't match, okay? They don't match. What I do suggest, however, is if you think that you have this bossy characteristic and you are a boss lady, what you want to do is you want to find a man that's nurturing. So look at careers that men are in that are nurturing. So we have teaching, that you can be, a man could be a nurse or a chef. These are all nurturing careers, and these are careers that I suggest you look at finding your man from. So there are many, many tips that I can give you, and I'm actually thinking that we'll do a separate vlog on tips to help offset the bossy. But the whole point of today's episode is that there are many, many reasons why men don't call you back, okay? Being the bossy lady is just one of the more popular reasons, but it may or may not apply to you. But what does apply to you, and I promise you this, is that you will be stereotyped on your first date, your second, and your third. Stereotyping happens big time on dates. So what's very important for you is to realize the more popular stereotypes that men attach to certain traits and comments, so that in the future you can avoid those and you'll be much more successful in your dating and your relationships. So I hope you learned a great deal in today's episode. If you have any questions, comments, please text me, Facebook me, Twitter DM me, and call me. And I promise I will call you back. Love is closer than you think.
That's right, I brought all the boys to the yard, and that's right, I'm the one that's tattooed on his arm. I'm bossy, I'm the one y'all love to hate.
This morning I had perhaps the lowest calorie count breakfast I've had in the last 5 weeks. I had a balance bar and a cup of water.
Oh. Wow, that was that was full blast, man.
Sorry.